Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. That's level 42. Something about you. Level 42. I always thought this kind of funny. Like back in the day, you didn't want to make that level too large, right? Because, you know, you don't want to sound cocky, right? So only level 42, but nowadays be like level, right? Like 1 million or something crazy, but whatever. Making it more real. I kind of was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how a lot of us, myself included, this is how this this thought came to be. I was like, hey, this might make a good show. And it did. It came out in a total accent like that. I'm lying. Yes, so how can we make it more real? Well, a lot of times one of the images I use before I go to bed frequently is, often the same image over and over and over. And I'm like, that's like not very original, right? Like, let's try to make it more real. So I started kind of playing around with different scenarios, different scenes, different places, different whatever, traveling, like maybe a hotel, someplace, like if you always imagine sleeping with your specific person, for example, or waking up in the morning from that location or whatever the case is. A lot of times it helps when we kind of switch it up as far as if it's the new house that we're going to wake up in, then what room? Maybe you've already advanced further into the house than you were, typically. Like maybe now you're out in the garage tinkering. Maybe you're in your office working. This is like, at least I'm thinking of my house right now, the one I keep imagining myself in. And, I've got there's a spare bedroom, bathroom. I got the whole upstairs, the kitchen. I'm still building in my mind. But again, let's keep working on the different scenes, the different locations. Don't just fixate on this one, maybe lying in bed with your specific person. I know you want that to occur, and I know that definitely does create that scene. But think of it for a second, and this is what's sometimes fun in the whole manifesting game, is when you imagine the same scene over and over, sometimes you can manifest maybe just spending the night with them, right? You happen to go out and you were out late, and they're like, you know what, just spend the night, no hanky-panky, no crazy, and you managed waking up in bed with them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship's there yet. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's good to add some of the additional imaginal scenes, things you'd like to have, having dinner with them, making dinner with them, going to movies, hanging out, waking up, showering together, if that's okay, So, add some fun scenes to it. Make it more real, in the sense of a job. Maybe you are imagining, going to the break room and imagining the conference rooms you'd have. Imagine standing up in front of people at the boardroom because you've got this better position where you're actually presenting in front of all the executives, or maybe you are one of the executives presenting to all the other executives, right? Again, like imagine the scenarios that make it more real. Make it more real. Don't just have this standard, constant go-to, thing that you think over and over and over, because you can very easily manifest that one little teeny tiny thing, and it's technically you did law of attraction work, yay, but you're like, that's not what I meant. I know. It's fun. Universe, us, higher self, learning to focus, all this stuff, you will have some point down the road where you will learn that you need to be more specific. You have to be specific. The more specific you can be, the better. That's why when we imagine, we're trying to use all the senses. We're trying to make it as real as we can on the inside, right? That's why we keep talking about all of this. And again, this whole making it more real thing, too, by the way, again, we talk about how it's supposed to make you feel, right? That's the whole dealio with all this. It's got to make you feel better. If you're feeling better, yay, right? Things happen quicker, happen better. You're attracting better. Everything's happier and groovier. And from that place, you have way more manifesting muscle to come at things with. So again, it's good. And I'm not saying you have to keep thinking about it, think about it. I've done other shows on it. We're not getting into that. What I'm just talking about is when you do imaginal work, and if you've let go, don't comment to me and say, well, if I've let go, should I do this? And well, no, if you're in a letting go moment, stay let go. I appreciate that you're still watching because, remember this. This is another groovy technique. If you're going to, well, here's the thing. Here. Oh, for the people that have let go. Sorry. Let's think about you, right? Let's manifest you. Let's get more specific with you. What are some things you are going to do right now in your daily life that's different? How are you putting more time towards yourself? How are you making yourself better? Are you going to the gym and working out now? Maybe. Are you eating differently now? Are you studying something you didn't before? Are you actually spending time on studies when you didn't before? What what's going on? So I guess there you go. I crashed, but then I skimmed and skipped. But yes, making it more real. Give it more sustenance, and you will be much, much happier and more impressed with the results, rather than maybe focusing on something that, if just that happened, would technically be right, but may not necessarily be accomplishing getting your dreams achieved. Hopefully that helps. Also, and I think Anya's talks about it, she calls it morning, noon, and night, which I really like. And that was sort of some of the inspiration behind it, too. I think we talked about that on our last recording that her and I did together. And that, again, is another really, really good kind of concept in that, too, is the different scenarios. At least that was sort of how I took it. But like at the different times of day where you would kind of be having these little moments where you would spend a couple minutes imagining, but those scenes should be different, right? You shouldn't be like at breakfast time imagining being with him, and then at lunchtime imagining the same thing you were imagining at breakfast, right? Like, make it different. Like, switch it up. Morning, noon, or night. Kind of what would be happening through the day? What would you be doing? Would you be texting them at that moment? Would you be calling them because that's just like something you guys do? You spend 5 minutes talking at the end of your break, or whatever. Some sort of tradition. Who knows? But again, making it more real, that morning, noon, and night kind of through the day. And when you're living that way, it really makes it more real on the inside. And when it's more real on the inside, it starts to become more real on the outside, more apparently. It seems, I don't know, it just helps. But again, it's still, that level of belief on the inside. Like, you kind of got to know this is occurring, but you get more of the coincidences. So it does help from that standpoint. And it's the thoughts that create the coincidence. So people would say, well, that's just because you've been thinking about it. Yeah, that's exactly why you just saw that coincidence. It's because you've been thinking about it. That's what makes it so cool. That's why I call it symbols and signs and all that kind of stuff, because that's cool. If there's such a thing as magic, that's like, for me, is like, in my logical mind, is like magic. That's like magic. That's crazy cool stuff, and I love it when it happens. So there you go. Like I said. We're going to be going out with another song. This song was requested by someone, and it's a good song. It's a little mellower maybe than I would typically go, but I went with it because it is a very good song. But that's actually what sparked the first one, a Level 42 song too, because it was that whole era, man. It was the early 80s, and it was such an interesting time. So anyway, we're going out with the song. It's Human League is the group, and they're talking about being human. But the good thing, it's League. There was like a group of them. It was before a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out, which was unfortunate. But yeah, there was this whole, if you were human, we had leagues. It was pretty cool. I don't know. Anyway, stay on radio style.